Guys, there's lots of news disseminated. There are lots of news going on. Unfortunately, it continues to escalate by the minute. So we're just going to talk about a handful of things here, just like a little snippet in what's happening globally. But let's kind of get to the news here. But Russia has claimed to have test fired an IBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, from a nuclear war submarine. So now these reports came out as tensions between Russia and the United States are at an all-time high over the fighting of Ukraine. And adding to those tensions, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, had actually signed off on a bill revoking Russia's ratification of a global nuclear test ban in a move that he claims he wants Russia to be in parity with the United States. Now, the Defense Ministry of Russia put out a statement that their nuclear war submarine, which is known as I believe the Alexander III, apparently it's a cruiser, and it fired this Bulava missile from an underwater position in the Russians' northern White Sea. And apparently there was a target somewhere in the far eastern region of Kamchatka. Now, it's not immediately clear exactly as to when that was fired, but apparently it happened recently. And the Alexander III is one of the new Borai-class nuclear submarines that can carry 16 Bulava missiles each. And they're intended to serve as a core naval component of the nation's nuclear forces in the coming decades. Now, according to the Defense Ministry, launching a ballistic missile is the final test for the vessel, after which a decision should be made on its induction into the fleet. Now, the Russian Navy currently has 3 of these Borai-class submarines in service, and 1 more is finishing tests, and 3 others are under construction. So they're definitely loading up on their armament in that area. In other news, Canada accuses China's People Liberation Army jets of dangerous and unsafe maneuvers in the South China Sea. Now, Beijing has apparently hit back and said that they hit back to Ottawa, indicating this mid-air encounter that Canada's complaining about between Canadian aircraft and PLA fighter jets over the South China Sea last month was definitely provocative, more from the Canadian side. The Chinese Defense Ministry spokesman Zhang Zhougang, apologize if I butchered that name, said on Saturday that a Canadian helicopter conducted flights of unknown intent to approach the airspace around the Paracel Islands, known in China as the Zisha. So this just happened. There's been a lot of dangerous kind of air-to-air close encounters, not only between the Canadian Army and the Chinese Army, but also with the American jets that are kind of in the area, and other members of NATO as well. So we'll be seeing a lot of these escalations continue to kind of carry out. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has disciplined a junior member of his cabinet who appeared to have voiced openness to the idea of Israel carrying out a nuclear strike on Gaza. Now, this is not being taken lightly. A lot of people, a lot of countries have been voicing their concerns about this, and this warmongering and rhetoric that's been coming out of the state of Israel. Netanyahu's office said in a statement that the minister, the heritage minister, Amihai Eliyahu, is as part of a far-right party in the coalition government, and has been suspended from all cabinet meetings until further notice. Now, this is definitely warmongering. It's a very dangerous thing to say, and especially to come out and claim these, to say these kind of statements, especially in a very sensitive time. Now, according to reports, over 10,000 Palestinians have thus been killed in the war since the conflict has started. 25,000 of which, 25,000 individuals, Palestinians, have been injured, and 2,600 Palestinians are missing, half of which are children. and it's stirring widening international concern at the tactics displayed by Israel as of late. And it's unfortunate. What's sad is the amount of people that have subsequently died in both of these conflicts between Ukraine and Russia, and Gaza and Israel, and the amount of people that have been killed, displaced, missing, injured in Palestine in the last few weeks are as much as how many people have actually, as many as how many people have died in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, which started about 19 months ago. So wrap your head around that. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets with the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas. Now, since then, he's met with a few other people, including a brief visit to Iraq, and also went to Turkey. Now, according to a senior Department State official, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Mahmoud Abbas to discuss what their role potentially could be after this conflict. So this meeting that happened between Antony Blinken and Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Authority happened all while rockets are being just dropped, and huge explosions just happening all around the area. Journalists inside Gaza were literally watching the night sky being lit up by Israeli bombardment, and it described the intense Israeli strikes with video showering towering explosions lighting up the sky. The spokesperson for the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, had said that after the meeting, the Palestinian president had called for an immediate ceasefire and for the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza, and that the Palestinian Authority would only assume power in Gaza as part of a comprehensive political solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Now, understand the State Department spokesperson who reported this said that Blinken had reaffirmed the U.S. commitment to the delivery of life-saving humanitarian assistance and resumption of essential services in Gaza, and made clear that Palestinians must not be forcibly displaced. So both Blinken and Abbas in their meeting have discussed their efforts to restore calm and stability in the West Bank, and the imperative need to stop extremist violence against the Palestinians and hold those accountable, those responsible accountable. Now, it's important to know that neither Mahmoud Abbas or the Palestinian Authority have had no role in governing Gaza since 2007, when Hamas took control of the coastal strip after the Hamas-backed Change and Reform Party won the biggest share of the vote in the legislative elections in 2006. So the Palestinian Authority has been somewhat mute since then, in a sense that they don't really have any ability to govern or any kind of jurisdiction over the Palestinians, but continue to remain a voice nonetheless. Blinken also previously met Arab foreign ministers in Jordan and met Netanyahu, and who insisted, so after meeting Benjamin Netanyahu continued to insist, continued to indicate that there will be no ceasefire. No temporary ceasefire can happen until all hostages by Hamas are released. So after meeting Blinken on Saturday, Jordan's foreign minister Ayman Safadi said Arab countries wanted an immediate ceasefire, indicating that the whole region is sinking in a sea of hatred that will define generations to come. Blinken said that it's not our view, it's our view that a ceasefire would simply leave Hamas in place, able to regroup and repeat what it did on October 7th. He also indicated that humanitarian pauses could be critical in protecting civilians, getting aid in, and getting foreign nationals out, while still enabling Israel to achieve its objective, which is the defeat of Hamas. Now, meanwhile, it's also been reported that a total of 48 UN installations for Palestinian refugees have been damaged across Gaza since the 7th of October. And in an updated release on Sunday, UNRWA, the UNRWA, added that nearly 1.5 million people have been displaced across Gaza since the war broke out nearly a month ago. Those are very, very scary numbers, and those numbers continue, and we don't even know the accuracy of those numbers. They could be obviously marginalized because of the lack of information that's coming out of there and the reporting, and I'm sure it's a lot more than what we're hearing. And of course, Donald Trump has been in the news for the New York civil fraud lawsuit that's been going on in New York, and he had to testify under oath this week, and where he was pressed about the values of his properties and the inflated values of his properties and his role in their appraisals. Now, the former president said that in his financial statements and as his defense, he started to said that he's being targeted. This is a big conspiracy against him, and continued on his verbal attacks on the judge and the New York Attorney General, indicating that the values were not overstated as previously insinuated. Now, the lawsuit, $250 million lawsuit, has been brought up against Donald Trump, the former president, from the New York Attorney General's office, and alleges that Trump and his co-defendants committed repeat fraud in inflating assets on financial statements to get better terms on their commercial real estate loans and insurance policies. Now, why all this matters? Well, the case is civil, okay, so it's not necessarily criminal, but it definitely threatens Trump's ability to conduct business in New York, because they're seeking to bar Trump from doing any business in the state and potentially dissolve his companies. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because we're already in the midst of an election, and from the recent poll numbers, it still looks like Donald Trump is the favorite candidate for the GOP. But time will tell. Time will tell what's going on. Look, guys, there's lots to cover here. Lots of news. I'm going to try to get to some of the other concepts, some of the other topics here that I'd like to share with you guys. As usual, I do appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Please subscribe and give us a like. And thank you very much for supporting us. And I look forward to the next one.